Facts here are Matya Benassi is an armed diplomatic security officer. We're going to have a presentation right over here, and we'll show you her information. Go ahead. She's also a biker for the U.S. Armed Forces, but you can see right off her LinkedIn, she is an armed diplomatic security officer from Woodbridge, Virginia, not far from here up the diplomatic back channel, right? So that's confirming what she does. Okay. Now she's not just any armed diplomatic security officer. She actually works for, remember Pete Buttigieg in Yukon, the European Command? She actually works for a 4-star general. We don't know if that's James Jones, Berge's James Jones or not, but it may very well be. See my episodes that I did on Berge if you want to look at that. But we believe actually she drove for the NATO Supreme Allied Commander, which is James Jones. He's the same guy with ShadowNet, if you've watched my Berge episodes, Private First Class Berge. Okay, we're going to start with the topic of Matya Benassi, and I'll start with Wuhan. She was in Wuhan. She was in this bicycle race on October the 20th when she contracted the virus in Wuhan. And we'll go to Dave now as the first player in the first round.
Okay. Well, I just learned this person's name just today, just read it while we were watching the news conference. So I just did a quick search on her and just discovered that she was, was a top cyclist. She was leading the military games for 3 of the 5 laps and crashed and still did well. But that's really all I know is that she's an excellent cyclist.
Yeah, and the military games were in Wuhan.
In Wuhan.
That's a picture of her, I believe, in 2013. You can see the NATO on there. You can see the spaghetti there and the different badges. I don't know if that's marksman's. I would guess that she would have to be a marksman. And again, you can see that she was in Stuttgart at UCOM and driver for the Supreme Allied. And I know this identity was used. I know this identity was used by Matya. Matya also used this identity of Matt. That's a key linkage point between these two. They're both at Fort Belvoir. The real identity, or the other identity, or the altered identity of Matt is 13 years at Spa War. Now you can see easily if you're trying to get an intel officer in, Matt, could be you bring in the cyclist as the cover, and then you bring in the intel officer to do the dirty work, right? So 13 years Air Force Space Command. Again, Spa War comes up over and over again as this group of sort of newly created weapons group that happens after World War II with these paperclip Nazis, and it seems now we're going to be going from Air Force Space Command all the way to Space War, Space Command. So and then an Army Logistics Command there as well. Now I'll add in another little piece here, which is Benny Benassi. This story has a lot of Benassi, and this story has a lot of Dutch. She's Dutch. She grows up in a Dutch neighborhood in high school, but he's also Dutch, and he's the first coronavirus victim in Holland. So that's quite a coincidence, if you ask me. So
I would say 3 victims or people who've contracted the virus with the same last name. That's just improbable. So is this an intelligence code name? And I guess my comment would be, are there not enough Americans to work in the intelligence forces? We've got Fiona Hill at the State Department and a bunch of Dutch people who all have the same last name, who all contracted the virus.
Yeah. So, and this is going to go back, again, Mark Kulak reported on this not too long ago. Thank you very much, Scout. Mark Kulak reported on this connection of using diplomatic couriers. Again, we're going to talk about diplomatic immunity, no searches, right, for moving these different biological samples to 29 different places that's doing weapons development. And the weapons development was known as a CBEP. That was a cooperative biological enhancement program, which is a weapons development program, right? So that's the key thing to note here is these CBEPs. This one comes from Tbilisi. This one comes from Tbilisi, Georgia. We can trace the travel of Matya to Tbilisi, Georgia. Now that's important because that means there was couriering going on. Now I'm not saying she knows about it. She may be the cover, she may be the driver, but then Mott could be used as a cover and the operative. So we don't.
Do they have like a cover of the siblings or a married couple or anything like that?
We do have documentary evidence that 3 scientists from North Carolina, from Wuhan, came to the University of North Carolina and worked on the horseshoe bat adaptation, the zoonotic transfer. Usually you need an intermediate animal to then transfer to humans. It doesn't usually go, not many humans eat bats. It doesn't usually go, it goes to an intermediate animal, sometimes it's a pig or something like that, then to the human. So we don't have those answers, but again, it's interesting that this coronavirus is derivative of that zoonotic transfer from horseshoe bats. Again, a lot of things pointing to Fort Detrick, where weapons development has occurred for a long time, and a lot of things pointing to these scientists.
抖音